Assalamualaikum. My name is Arfat and welcome to a brand new video. Today we're going to take a look at the Oxford Dictionary of the Christian Church, as well as strong concordance that I have here, and we're going to explore the phrase Son of Man. What does the phrase Son of Man mean, and what are the certain passages that this phrase occurs in the Bible? And so to begin, we have to turn to the dictionary as always to learn about the term or phrase, and then we should go from there. Alright, so the phrase Son of Man, this is in page 526. In the New Testament, a designation of Jesus with one exception in Acts chapter 7 verse 56, used only by himself. In the Aramaic of New Testament times, it seems that the phrase could be used almost as a paraphrase for I, meaning me. And in some cases, parallel passages in another gospel have I or me. In the Old Testament, the corresponding Hebrew expression is often a synonym for man. Okay, example, a human being. In Daniel 7, chapter 7 verse 13, however, one like a son of man occurs in the context of the final establishment of God's kingdom and is used as a symbol representative of God's elect, meaning God's chosen one. In Daniel, it denotes some angelic being. Okay, the identification with an individual leader or Messiah is not found until the similitudes of Enoch and Esdras to Idris in passages probably too late to have influenced the Gospels. The element of mystery about the phrase in the Gospels confirms the view that it was not an established messianic title before the time of Jesus. Okay? Later readers of the Gospels have seen Son of Man as denoting the humility of Christ's incarnate humanity as contrasted with the majesty of his divinity denoted by Son of God, and as emphasizing his universalist role in contrast with the nationalist conception associated with the title Son of David. And so Son of Man doesn't denote any form of divinity. It doesn't denote that Jesus is part of the Trinity, like a lot of these Christian apologists likes to argue. If only they would turn to the dictionary, they would know that the phrase Son of Man has been clearly defined by them, by scholars. Now we will turn to Strong's Concordance here, and we'll just identify a few passages that bear the phrase Son of Man. Son of Man, a self-designation of Christ. By the way, I've uploaded the picture of this in my community post. So if you want to see what I'm reading here, you can actually refer to the community post. Now, title of Son of Man is applied to in book of Ezekiel, chapter 2, verse 1, chapter 3 and 6. Sorry, chapter 2, verse 1, verse 3 and 6. In Daniel 8:17, and then Messiah. Also could be the Messiah. The Son of Man is also referred to as the Messiah in Daniel 7, chapter 13. And this is the famous phrase, Son of Man, in Daniel 7. Okay, and then this is denoted by Jesus Christ himself in Matthew 8:20, and by only Stephen elsewhere in Acts 7:56, and also in John's vision, okay, the book of Revelation chapter 1 verse 13. Also another famous passage, okay, an eschatological passage. And then as indicative of Christ, okay, self-designation, this is in Matthew 16:13, the humanity in Matthew 11:19, the designation of his lordship, Okay, Jesus' lordship. This is in Matthew 12:8. The messiahship in Luke 18:31. The sovereignty in Matthew 13:41. Obedience in Philippians 2:8, and go on and so on and so forth. And then it also denotes as Christ's powers. Okay, as to forgive sin. This is in Matthew 9:6. To save man in Luke 9:10. To redeem man in Matthew 20:28. To reward man in Matthew 16:27. Again, to reward man in Matthew 19:28. And to rule his church in Colossians, the book of Colossians by Paul, 1:17, chapter 1, verse 17 and 18, respectively. And so there is no such thing here as to denote that the Son of Man is part of a triune God. It is not found, even the meaning of it, it is not found in the New Testament, in the entire biblical corpus. Even if you look at the Apocrypha, it is not referred to as a form of a triune God. And so, just to point out to you that today we have actually gone through, even though we could actually take a look at these passages that I've just mentioned and actually go through them one by one and read them, but you can do that at your own time, since I've already included the picture of these passages in strong concordance in the community post, so you can actually read them in context as well. And you'll find that there is no such thing as Jesus is referred to as the triune God or the Son of God, just because he is referred to or call himself the Son of Man. Again, we can go on further and explore some of the books, the literatures that I have behind me that talk about the Son of Man. For example, the book about the Son of Man Debate, okay, by Delbert Burkett. Definitely is one of the book that you should read, and also The Changing Faces of Jesus, whereby Giza Vermesh mentions and clarifies what the title Son of Man really means. As well as we can take a look at the Jewish commentary that we found in Daniel 7 that I have with JPS. All of them, if you actually take the time to go through, doesn't refer to the Son of Man as any form of like triune God. No doubt some of these passages does refer to a form of divine entity, but that is common if you take a look at the Greco-Roman world. If you put the phrase Son of Man into its original context, because in the Greco-Roman world, I've made videos about this, whereby I go through with you the depiction of the divine figures in the Greco-Roman world, whereby anyone who has like a higher social standing, or anyone who is deemed to have been able to produce miracles, and even the ancestors or the ancestry gods, for example, angels or angelic beings like demons, daimonos, they're all depicted as a form of divine entity. And we found this in Greek mythology of the ancient Near East, the Egyptian as well. But there is only one divine supreme being, okay, and that is God alone. Even though we have a lot of lower forms of divinities, but there is only one supreme God at the top. Okay, and so when the New Testament writers, especially Paul and the Gospel writers, because they're heavily influenced by their surroundings, and they were living in a heavily Hellenized world, which includes like philosophy, Neoplatonism, for example, is really at the pinnacle of when the Gospel authors was writing. And also we have the writings of Philo of Alexandria. Okay, pretty much we're writing before the time of Paul even. And so Philo of Alexandria, if you read his writings, he's pretty much Hellenized. Okay, he believed in a second God, for example. But however, this depiction it cannot be found even in the writing of the Apostle Paul. And Paul clearly makes the distinction in a very clear-cut, unambiguous, unequivocal passage, whereby the head of Christ is God. And in John, the Gospel of John, a lot of fundamentalists and evangelists turn to the Gospel of John to prove the Trinity, whereas we do not find any. Even the passage "Son of Man" does not appear even once in John. In the Gospel of John, it doesn't even appear once. And in John, clearly it states that no one has seen God. No one has seen God. That is a very, very clear passage that you cannot dispute it. If you say this passage to a 2 or 3-year-old child, they would clearly understand that no one has seen God. Whereas the passages that if you've seen me, you've seen the Father, that is very ambiguous. What does it mean? That is not a clear statement. This statement can be argued and had been argued for centuries and millenniums even. Whereas the clear-cut statement that no one has seen God in the Old Testament, we will explore into this inshallah ta'ala in future videos, where we will explore the phrase no one has seen God, because Moses he wanted to see God. Okay, this is in the Old Testament, the Torah, but God says that no one can see me and live, even though there are contradictions in the Torah, because Moses saw the back of God. That is again, when we go through the documentary hypothesis, we would point this out inshallah ta'ala, whereby there are two different narratives, the priestly source and the Yahweh source, again. But returning back to our topic at hand, when it comes to the phrase "Son of Man," it doesn't appear anywhere in John, and in all the passages that it does appear in, it doesn't depict a form of triune God. It is completely far from that. A lot of scholars, critical scholars, have argued over the years and have proved successfully that the phrase "Son of Man" basically is like a synonym for I, me. Okay, when Jesus says that the Son of Man has no place to rest his head, Jesus is clearly speaking about himself. Whereby I have no place to rest my head. This is like a different way of saying it. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I hope this video has been helpful to you. I'll try to post and make use of the community page much more thoroughly, because that is something that has been whereby I only have access to recently. Before, I do not have access to make posts to the community, and now that I have the chance to, or the opportunity to make posts in the community, to the community, I will try and post excerpts from books here and there. Probably something like for example like this, whereby I'll go through this whatever I'm reading, I'll post it there, because unfortunately you guys cannot see what I'm reading here. So just to help you guys a little bit, I'll post the photographs before I even upload this video, and also you have a chance, or like you'll know what's the next video will be. So inshallah ta'ala, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. Hope this video will help you understand more. We are all learning together. We should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us ilm, to grant us knowledge, and so, because we can have PhD, we can have a THD, but if there's no barakah in what we do, then we can have all the certificates in the world, but that doesn't mean that we are actually knowledgeable. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. My name is Arfat. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.